All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone, and happy 2022. We haven't actually moved into the new year yet, but we will be doing that at the end of January. But it is a happy 2022. So welcome to 2022. Today is January 4th. 2022. This is episode number 137. And today we're going to be taking a look at the pressure to fight and to rise up. So we're going to be taking a look at two traits today. We're going to be taking a look at 38 in quality 6, and the 54 is what we're going to be taking a look at today. So before we jump in and get started, let's say hello to our panel. So hello, Shelley, welcome.
Hello. Good to be here. Nice to see everyone.
Great to have you join us. Welcome. And Linda.
Hello. Well, I'm so happy to be here, to be back. And I'm ready to fight and rise up. I love that. Yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. And Anna.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. And yes, it'll be interesting. 2022. Let's go.
Most definitely. Let's go. All right. Well, again, thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. And let's jump into taking a look at trait 38 in quality 6, as well as the 54, the pressure to fight and to rise up. So we have a brand new month. And with a brand new month, we have brand new themes. We are still in purpose fulfilled through transformation. And one of the things that you'll see in January is that we have the pressure to transform. One of the things that you will notice is that all of the traits in January are in drive and stamina. So you may be feeling a lot of pressure. And I forgot to fix the January theme. So ignore the January theme. I was a little behind yesterday. This was actually last month's theme. So we'll ignore that for now, and we'll take a look at what are the main themes here. So we have the fighter in the 38, the stubbornness that can overcome odds. So we're going to take a look at that today. We have drive, the ambition to rise up. We're also going to be taking a look at that today. As well as we move through January, we have the inner truth in the 61. This is mystery. This is the potential of inner truth is silence. We'll have acceptance in the 60. This is the pulsing pressure to mutate. We also have the dreamer in the 41. This is contraction. This is patience is a great virtue. And we have social needs. This is wanting. This is the source that drives all revolutions. So again, one of the things that you may be experiencing at the beginning of the year is this pressure. So there's the pressure to complete what was in the past year. Now we're taking a look at the 5 stages. We have a special program, which is the 5 stages in moving into 2022. And we took a look at this fighter. We took a look at the tension. And again, it's not really a time to start looking forward yet. We need to complete what happened in the past year before we can move forward. We also took a look at drive and in taking a look at the allies that are there to support us. So again, we really don't begin the new year until we get to the dreamer in trait 41. So again, we can see that there are 5 steps here until we get to the dreamer. So if you still want to join us for the for our journey in opening up the new year, you can still register as well. We had the first 2 sessions taking a look at the fighter and drive yesterday. So, but you can still jump in and go through the rest of the 5 stages of entering into the new year. So one of the things that's very interesting, if we take a look at the 38, what's on the opposite side of the 38 is the 39. Again, both in a pressure function. So we can see that both of them are defined down here in drive and stamina. So not only do we have the fighter, we also have provocation, we have obstruction, right? So again, you may be feeling a lot of tension right now. we're going to be shifting out of that tension, moving into drive, the ambition to rise up tomorrow. So we'll have that change here happening soon. All right, let's take a look at today's theme. So today's theme, again, is trait number 38. It is the fighter. So it's opposition and it's stubbornness that can overcome the odds. So this is the ability to preserve individual integrity through opposition to detrimental forces. This is also the energy necessary to combat fear and to know that life is worth value, that life is of value, right? So it is fighting for what you believe in, fighting for having things come. This is individual, right? So oftentimes individuality and what is individual is new, is different. And sometimes you need to fight to have what's new and different become, to bring it out into the world. This is forcefully confronting adversity. And in forcefully confronting adversity, you actually enjoy a good fight, right? There's something in it to be able to have that fight. And you welcome the release of the pressure that elevates struggle above simple survival. Right? So struggle has a purpose. Struggle has a meaning. If we take a look at what's on the other side of the 38, we have the 28, which is all about purpose. It's a sense of your sense of purpose is enhanced when you stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. And this is the energy of fierce independence. This is an individual trait. So this is the energy of fierce individual independence that's highly focused, and it's a highly focused stubbornness to meet any challenge, even death, head on. All right, so this is the 38. So I would love to hear from our panel. What is your experience of the 38? I think, Linda, you have the 38, correct?
Yes.
So you are ready for a good fight.
Of course, always. Well, I look really innocent, but in the meantime, well, this trait, I literally have struggled with most time of my life because I was fighting against myself. So when I was younger, I did not know what my purpose was in life. So I was, and it's really, it's because also we talk about the 54 today as well, of having an ambition to rise up. And I don't have the 54, but oh boy, because of my open willpower, I was determined to climb up a ladder in order to feel like I would have a purpose. So I was fighting literally almost my way through my career. Like, okay, you are not stepping up as a leader. Well, I am going to do that. Get out of my way. And I also, that was really amazing. I was hit by a car about 8 years ago, and the human design analyst was taking a look at the energy of the day, and it was also the 38. It was kind of, okay, you have to stop fighting. It's you have to surrender to life in order to find your purpose. That's the message I got. But it is, I really feel like I want to feel alive, to have a meaning. And what I notice now is that I use that drive to empower my clients, to help my clients to embrace their uniqueness. So I literally tell them, I'm going to fight for you, for your awareness, for your uniqueness, that you can see your gifts and talents. So now I use it in a positive way. But if you use this to fight against yourself, I feel like I was able to, and it sounds maybe a little bit harsh, but I should kill myself, kind of, because it's such a powerful force. It also helps me to build my business and to really fight for what I believe in, and everyone should know about BG5. But if you use this trait, this talent for against yourself, it can be really, really detrimental. So it's a powerful one.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And what a powerful story as well. This is part of your life work as well. If we take a look at where the 28 is in Linda's design here, it's in the unconscious grounding. So it is unconscious. It's not something that you were necessarily aware of until you were, literally hit by a car, right? To really wake you up to this this unconscious fighter within you that you've now turned around to really make it part of, and you're really using it as part of your life purpose, giving your life meaning as well. Just a beautiful example of that. Yeah. Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. How about for you, Anna?
I don't have this trait. However, I do know and live with people that do. And I like what you said, Linda, about fighting against yourself. Sometimes there's just, especially in kids, there's just this raw energy that we, as kids, we don't always know what to do with. So if there's grief or other emotions, depending on the context, we end up fighting. And and then people get in trouble at school or in business or, with the workplace or whatever's going on. And I always tell my son, what are you fighting for? If you're fighting against something that can be against yourself, whatever you're fighting, there's value in it. Do you know what you're fighting for? Position yourself to fight for something in yourself or for someone else, advocate for someone else. But that's the shift that makes this correct. And this weekend, I'm a sports fan, as some of you know. I was watching a football game, and it was a very interesting juxtaposition of the best quarterback, Tom Brady, on the planet practically at this point, going over to his teammate who was struggling and acting out. They had a conversation, and the other guy, Antonio Brown, I don't know if you know him, but he's had a lot of injuries and concussions, and so there's struggle going on. And Antonio had a fit and left the field and created a lot of stuff. Well, he's a fighter. I don't know exactly what his chart is, but under pressure, under this stress of the very last minutes of the game, under pressure of trying to deal with a teammate, Tom Brady goes right into integrity and he wins the game in the last couple minutes. And that takes a lot of focus to fight for something rather than against something. If y'all have a little bit of a chance to watch the end of that game, I thought that was fascinating because the storyline was all about the tantrum on the field rather than the integrity that it took to refocus during a drama and fight for the end of that goal. I thought it was very impressive.
Yeah. And it shows, in a sense, both sides of that struggle, right? It shows both the sort of just fighting, the explosion, the negative side of it, and then it's that illustration of the fighting for and winning the game. Yeah, beautiful illustration, Anna. Thank you so much. And for you, Shelley.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I just love that, because I don't have the 38 myself. I do have the 39 and the 54 though. But the 38 shows up in many of my family members. And I was just checking their charts quickly, but I know my grandson has the full strength. My son-in-law has the full strength. And then it's the women in our family that have the 38, and their partners have the 28. So there's a lot of this in our family. And I love the way you've explained that when they are very passionate, all of them, they're all very passionate about fighting for things they believe in. And they're usually out there fighting for things. And they're all in their 30s now. So they've come through the childhood stages. Watching my grandsons though play this out, I'm gonna help them with what you've said, because I recognize my grandson is 8 and he's an innovator and he has the full strength, and his little brother who's 4 has the 28. And they spent the whole weekend here just boxing, playing football in the living room, tackling each other, and it's just constant. They just love to rough and tumble and fight. So it's like you said, just the physical expression of this when they're young, figuring out what this energy is all for. So I like that I can maybe help guide him, especially in the future, to find out, because we often say that when people are fighting, what are you fighting for? But the way you framed it, what are you fighting for, as opposed to, quit fighting, what are you fighting for?
Yeah.
Really digging down and understanding, helping them understand themselves on what it is they're fighting for. I think in their case, it's for the sheer pleasure and joy of being in the physical form and carrying out their energy impulses. But it's lovely to have that framed that way, Anna. Thanks so much.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And oftentimes when we think of a fight, we can think of something as a negative thing, but we have the fights in sports, as Anna was saying, literally fighting as a sport. And again, to bring forth something new, this is part of OC16, to bring forth something new, sometimes you need to fight for a new idea to be accepted. Right? It may be off the charts. It may be very different, and the tribe's not interested and the collective's not interested. So as an individual, and we're moving into the era of the individual, in the era of the individual, there is an element, right? Just by the very nature of the individual circuitry, that you have to, in a sense, fight for what you believe in, that you have to stand up and be true to who you are without getting overwhelmed by the tribe or getting overwhelmed by the collective, right? So fighting has a really important purpose as well, right? I've been experiencing this in my own life as well, in recognizing that sometimes you're fighting a battle that can't be won, and do you continue to fight and continue to get beat up, or also knowing the correct time to just surrender and say, time out, I'm done. And be able to live with, okay, I fought as hard as I could and it just wasn't correct, right? Sometimes you fight for things that weren't correct. And you fight for something that's not correct, and then it doesn't turn out your way, and it can be very disappointing. But at the same time, it's like, okay, sometimes you have to just surrender, and knowing also when it's time to surrender as well.
I
Yeah.
like that, Karen. I really appreciate that, because sometimes people can't lose. You don't know how to lose, or that whole framework of fighting for something against poverty or against ignorance or whatever it is, or fighting for the ball or the income or whatever the situation is. Sometimes we get very possessed with being right or winning, And when you're correct, you actually don't lose. And this idea that you have to give up the fight, sometimes you do. Sometimes it's not the right timing, or it's not the right person, or it's not your job to do. And it's a loss. There's grief in it. You have to surrender control, but you don't lose when you really surrender to what you're fighting for. It'll come back around. The timing or the people or the situation will come back around to it's right again. And maybe you're the one that starts fighting again, or maybe it's somebody else that takes it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully said, Anna. Yeah. So it's like I said, it's a very powerful and palpable energy. And again, if you've noticed, especially in the last week, that there's been tension, that you've been provoked, or somebody's provoking you, or you've been in a fight with someone, right? You start to recognize these elements.
Can
So
I add one
yes, please.
little thing? Because what also comes with this trait is, I want to highlight the fierce independence, because even in an OC16, in a large group, I feel like I am not being conditioned by the dynamics of a group. So I am like the, well, I don't know if I have to say it that way, but I am not that easy to handle for a manager, because I stay individual.
Yeah.
So I fight also for my individuality and for my purpose, but also for my individual purpose. And that's where you can be, well, that people are getting headaches of you, but also it can happen. But, but also what I notice is that some people say, wow, you are really standing up or speaking your truth, or you are, and also bringing innovation, bringing new things, bringing a new way of taking a look at things. So the fighter also brings innovation. The fighter brings, something to look forward to. And I love what Anna shared. It's fighting for and not against. And that's really the shift that I made in my life. But in the organizations that I worked in, I was fighting against management. I also have the 18, so I don't like institutions and authority. So I was always like, well, we like Linda because she's working hard, but at the same time, she is sometimes a little nasty. So.
Full of power.
Exactly. Yeah, because
dynamic energy.
Yeah. Exactly. It's about empowerment, right? And when we are truly being ourselves, and it is correct, right? You can fight and it not be correct, but when you're fighting and it is correct, right? It empowers others, right? To in their own individuality as well. Exactly. Exactly. So how do you get affected when you're connected? So this is the shadow of the 58. So when you don't have the shadow of the 38, there we go. The shadow of the 38, when you don't have trait 38. So when we take a look, this is, and especially if it happens to be a bridging trait, you have trait 28, but you don't have trait 38, right, on the other side. So the shadow of trait 38 is lack of knowing what is worth fighting for. So do you feel tension, the tension to fight or the tension to struggle? Do you experience resistance and exhaustion trying to find purpose? Do you have the fear that nothing is worth fighting for, or that life has no purpose? Right? You have the 28, and the fear of the 28 is that life is meaningless. It's the fear of death. So the problem is you may fall victim to unnecessary pressure to fight or struggle, experiencing needless resistance and exhaustion, right? When you're not fighting for something, when you are fighting a losing battle, you can experience needless resistance and exhaustion. The solution is you are designed to work with others, and those others can give you clues about what they've discovered that make life struggles worthwhile, right? So they can be your sounding board to know, is this struggle worth it or not? Yeah. So this may be, if you don't have this trait, what you may have been experiencing this week, in a sense, falling victim to unnecessary pressure to fight and struggle, experiencing needless resistance and exhaustion. So if you've been experiencing that and you don't have trait 38, that's probably why. Anything, Shelley or Linda or Anna, that you would like to add?
Yes, I'll add, as an innovator, and someone that doesn't really like to fight per se, but has impact. I don't have this trait, but I experienced this. It befuddled me in my early years. What are people fighting about? Because one of my key indicators in the positive is finding peace, finding grace, finding sort of this flow energy. And I was always getting resistance. I didn't understand my type at that point. And so I would exhaust myself trying to get out of the ring, get out of the field of people that were like, whoa, what is this chaos? And I had several people in my growing up years that loved that fight, like you were saying, Shelley. I was like, oh, please get me out of here. And so not only was I experiencing the resistance as an innovator, but resisting the idea of fighting and not understanding what the value of it was. So the exhaustion can be on several layers. I couldn't do what I was here for. I didn't understand what I was here for, as a kid. And then channeling that more, learning more about that from my design, how to let that work for me, how to understand resistance, how to not get exhausted, and discovering other people give you clues, they give you feedback, and some of it's very direct and gracious, and especially if you're getting an overview or an analysis or coaching, BG5, they can give you information about what is worth struggling for. Or you can find your way through, with mentors or leaders or whatever, and other people naturally will give you clues that help you evaluate what is worth fighting for. Pick your battle, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That's wonderfully said, Anna. And you just reminded me, I have this whole strength open, and I've definitely been similar in that, avoiding fighting, being extremely sensitive and nervous about fighting, having it, connected to the survival instinct. It felt very threatening to me to be around people that were fighting. And yet there would be other times, and maybe it's because I've got the 45, it's a innovator trait. It's the only trait I have in my communication. And I would fight for other people, no problem. But standing up for myself was really challenging. And so I think having it completely open, it's definitely shadow, and also becomes wisdom over time, where I think with more understanding of my own design, I now can sort of extract myself from the energy of the fight. I used to pick it up and wear it and feel it and feel everything about it, and get so into it, thinking somehow I had to do something to fix it. Being the 3-5, I had to stop the fight somehow. Being able to witness it now and not take on other people's energy around it, and just allowing it to be. I'm not anywhere near as nervous or jumpy about it, or I don't, rush to stop it. I let it flow a little bit. And then, of course, the kids are really going at it, then I'll intervene. But for the most part, I am allowing other people to have their fight, to feel their fight, and not feel like I have to get involved, not feel like I need to do anything about it. I can just observe it, witness it, be there, support it if necessary, or know whether or not, knowing my own decision-making strategy, how I feel about it, whether it's something I want to fight alongside with them for, or whether it's not for me. And that all goes back to your own decision-making strategy, checking in with it to say, is this worth fighting for me? So I think it's beautiful to have this system to be able to have some reflective insight into how we can, this is all about how you get affected when you're not connected. Now knowing, having a little bit of space and understanding of what the wisdom in the shadow is, being able to stand back slightly and not be so affected by it. That awareness brings the ability to not be so affected or impacted by it if it's not for us.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, beautifully said, Shelley. Really beautifully said. I recognize there's some comments as well. I don't know, Linda, if you're following along with the comments. Is there any?
Let me see what I can see. Yvonne, she recognizes a lot that I shared. She has the 38-1 conscious and a 38-3 unconscious, so 2 times the fighter. And she always worked very hard to get forward, but also came to a standstill by illness. So yeah, that's life will give you a sign of stop fighting against things. So now she is not going to fight with herself anymore, and certainly not with my environment. It's time comes advice. So yeah, that's wonderful. And she also shared, what I also notice is that when I sink my teeth into something, I don't let go. Yes, we are determined. We are like the pit bull terriers. We just keep on fighting until she gets what she thinks is right for her or for someone else. So that's beautiful. And Debbie was sharing, I do not have the 38 yet. This energy is showing up in my work right now as I support a woman with her finances, as her husband has asked her for a divorce after 27 years. Ooh, that's a long time. And the husband handled all the finances. Yeah. You have to fight for your future then after 27 years and for your individuality as well. So yeah, wonderful sharing.
Yeah, beautiful. And anything, Linda, that you would like to add?
Well, I don't have 28.
That's true.
But I really also understand what it's like to don't have 28, because my husband, he has the 28 and also the 38. And what happens is that we sometimes argue about when to fight, because he also knows when to fight, but he also has the 28 of the game player. So he sometimes takes, well, risks like, okay, when we were on holiday to the United States, we both love old cars, like the Cadillacs. We own a Cadillac from 58 at home, but then there are some junkyards with all of those cars. And then he says, well, we can go here. And I said, no, I don't want to fight for, I said, okay, I'm fine. I said, no, we can go here. He's the game player. He knows he can go there. And I said, no. He said, well, you don't want anything and you are so scared. I said, yes, I am. And then he said, come along. So I always, in his presence, I feel like I am scared. But if I'm alone within my own energy, I can fight for everything. But he is having that energy, like I feel like I don't know if I can take the risk.
Yeah.
So that's the other side. So sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm really missing something in myself that is daring to do stuff. And he's just, oh, you can go there. And now I know, and now he's telling me, you can trust me because that's in my design. I said, okay, yeah, I will follow you.
Great story, and really great illustration of all the different ways that it can show up, right? How it shows up if you have it defined, you have trait 38 defined, but you don't have 28, or if you have 28, but not 38, or if you have the entire strength defined, or if you just have a trait, or if you don't have it either, right? Really great examples of all of that. And let's take a look at today's quality. Today's quality is in quality 6. So quality 6 is misunderstanding. So this is the leader. This is opposition without basis. So the elevation is the energy which attracts misunderstanding and the stubbornness to face opposition. This is the eventual crystallization, which clears up misunderstandings. The challenge is where misunderstandings is the root of struggle. It's the energy of stubbornness to insist and maintain one's position. It's the recognition that misunderstanding is the root of opposition, but the insistence, right? That is the misunderstanding of opposing forces. So again, if you find today that you have some misunderstandings, just recognize that it just happens to be there. All right, let's go ahead and continue to move forward, because I want to get to the celebrity, and also want to have some time also to talk about the 54, which we'll be moving into next week, or not next week, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. There we go. So the celebrity, and taking a look at the life work theme of the and I typed it wrong. Boy, I am making all kinds of mistakes here. This should be the 38, not the 20. Excuse all my mistakes. I'm a little I've been struggling.
Fighting through misunderstandings.
Yeah. So excuse all my mistakes. So Bradley Cooper is our celebrity. He's an actor and a filmmaker. And the 38 in quality 6 is the life work theme of individualism, right? So it is about that fight to be an individual. So you are a pure individual who has to keep mutating and keep becoming yourself, which in turn shocks and creates tension or provokes change in others. So again, it is about, fighting for what you believe in. It is having that tension that provokes and changes or empowers others. So he's been in a lot of movies, from The Wedding Crashers to Hangover to Limitless to Silver Lining Playbook to American Hustle to American Sniper to A Star Is Born. So you're probably familiar with him. I don't know if anyone would like to add, or familiar with Bradley Cooper, that you would like to highlight anything.
I just find it really interesting to have I don't really follow or pay too much attention to actors or celebrities, but he's somebody I have noticed him changing throughout the years. I've noticed his development as an actor, I guess, and starting with like The Wedding Crashers as sort of a I don't want to say a bit part, but I think he wasn't the main actor, and he was sort of a particular personality, and just how much his personality has come all the way to A Star Is Born, where he's, a dramatic actor, acting a really challenging part, singing through it and singing well, and just becoming you can just see his evolution as an actor has been really distinct. I think I've noticed his evolution more than others, I'd say. And I find this also interesting. My daughter-in-law has this exact same life's work. And I'm watching her kind of go through her own transitions as she finds her way. She's got the quality 5, but similar, the fighter 38, 39 as well. So this is really fascinating to see that connection with individualism being about mutating constantly, continually becoming yourself, shocking others, which creates tension or provokes change in others. Because literally just being around my daughter-in-law is like that. She's beautiful, warm personality, but there's something about her that shakes stuff up. I find myself coming out and telling her things that I had not intended to say anything about. So it's an interesting dynamic life work for sure.
Yeah.
And she has that effect on everyone. She just sits and listens and everybody just spills their guts to her. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Shelley.
I like what you said, Shelley, because I've watched him too. I didn't really put it together as maturity, but I mean, that's the 6, the public role part of the 6 is going through the stages of maturation, 3 different phases. But the one thing I've noticed over the years, and I've seen some of these, not all of them. He went from being the cutie pie, the handsome guy, to really deeply expressing a lot of his talents. It takes a lot of talents to produce movies, to direct actors, to write scripts, and to juxtapose being in a film and producing or directing it. So there's a lot more dimension that he's really allowed his individuality to express itself in lots more ways than just that visual presence early on that made him famous.
Yep, exactly. Thank you for that, Anna. Yeah, and again, it's always interesting to see the celebrities and see, in a sense, their life work theme kind of show through their characters and what we understand about them. All right, let's take a look at next week's theme. So this week's theme's coming up. Oh my goodness. Starting tomorrow. Tomorrow is my birthday. And tomorrow I have to so this is my life work, the 54, trait 54 in Drive. So coming up tomorrow, this is the ambition to rise up. This is interaction in its mundane social context, but also one's most mystical and cosmic relationship. So one of the things that's interesting about the 54 is that 54 in quality 4 is the most spiritual, if you will, of all the traits in the entire career design. So it is about enlightenment or endarkenment. So again, it's not only the mundane and social, it's not only the physical, but it's also it has a mystical quality to it as well. I have that as part of my life work theme. So this is the transformation, and this is transformational is possible through the mastering of instincts, right? It's pointing to the survival instinct. So transformation, it's about transformation, and it's possible through mastering of the instincts. Ambition is natural for you and leads to the fulfillment of your personal potential. And there's a tenacity for reaching a goal. And that tenacity to reaching a goal brings you the potential to be noticed by those that are higher up the ladder. But your ambition needs direction, however. So you will instinctively look for someone who can help you channel your ambitions towards something of lasting value. And without direction, your drive may turn into blind ambition. So I've experienced both of those things. One of the things that's very interesting, if we take a look at what grounds the 54, what grounds the 54 is the 53, which is all about new beginnings. Right? So what's grounded here is, again, this is really, in a sense, the start of where we start to look forward instead of backwards to begin to move into the new year by taking a look at who are your allies. This is very tribal. And thus being very tribal, it's looking for those, that are there that can help you fulfill your ambition. This is the 54 is also one of the traits that is going to be in the new frequency that we're moving into in 2027. So the 54, this drive to rise up, is part of what we're here to witness. It's part of, it used to be occult knowledge that's in the era of planning, and we're moving towards really paying attention to and listening for those people who are really our allies that can really support us in helping us fulfill our own purpose, right? So that's what the 54 is all about. All right. I would love to hear from Linda or Anna or Shelley. I think Shelley, you have this also as well.
I do. I have it unconscious and in quality 5, and it's my moon, my driving force. So yeah, this was really great to understand this, because it's unconscious for me. I didn't really recognize it in myself, but I had lots of people, especially in the last little while, as I've been chatting a little bit more about finding out about my design, people have always seen me as really ambitious. They're using that word, and it was never anything anybody mentioned to me before. So when it's unconscious, people see it in you, and I wasn't aware of it, but I did feel it. I could feel the drive in myself to want to rise up to the top of any organization I was in. I have the 4426 and the 45. My life's work is the 45. So it was natural for me to start at the bottom typically and move my way up to get to the place where I could be helpful at the top of an organization. And I guess the 5 is about making that a universal message that all of us can rise up to be our full selves, to make that a normal thing for us to do, especially in these coming times. And that's why I really love doing this work and helping people understand who they are so that they can rise up as themselves and make their way in the world. So yes, it was great to understand that about myself.
Yeah, exactly. Anything, Anna or Linda, that you would like to add?
Yeah, one of the things, this rising up, well, 2 things. One is I have a friend who has a birthday tomorrow as well. And I noticed, and I've known him for decades, he was always involved in religious communities and always found himself as the second hand or the top leader, of the community part. But then he would have to leave because it wasn't quite correct. The organizations were becoming toxic. But that rising up from a real baseline faith in this mystical driven life, his devotion is amazing. And he had to really work at finding the right placement for the range of practicality and mysticality. So it's been fascinating to see him find a place to actually operate that's correct for him, where both of those things could be fulfilled in his own personal potential. The other part is right now, in this whole transition that we're in, the less obvious part of COVID and financial systems, this global thing we've been experiencing over the last couple of years, people don't want to work at mundane, meaningless jobs anymore. And to me, this is a very important part of BG5 and the gifts that are here, is that we can actually show people how to live this higher level mystical element in their work, that everybody's striving for meaningful work and prosperity. It may not be greed and abundance in material goods, but this abundance of spirit, this abundance of being able to thrive in meaningful work. And that's what the whole regenerative culture is about. But people are leaving jobs that don't meet this need to rise up, to have a spiritual life, to have the gap filled between your mundane activities and this spiritual participation in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, this is, this is part of my life work. Like I said, my birthday is tomorrow, so I do have the 54 and quality one, and part of my life work is this rags to riches and being motivated not only, from rising up the ladder, but also from more sort of spiritual forces as well, and to begin something new, not from scratch, but based on the foundation of the old. And I feel like my role at the BG5 Business Institute has really been able to take BG5 and be able to bring something new, not from scratch, but based on the foundation of the old from Ra Urahu, and bring it forth into the world through ambition with the 54, but also the 54 is material, and it's also about business, right? It is the training in OC16. It's training people who are the new workers coming in. It's the workforce floor, and it's being able to rise up. The 54 wants to become the 45, and so it's this rising up through the ladder and being recognized by those higher up. To help you move up that ladder. And again, it's really about finding those allies, right? This is part of what we're moving into in 2027, is finding those allies that support. And this is tribal. So oftentimes we think of drive and ambition as something very individual, right? That people can be put off by. However, realize that it is tribal, meaning that when you rise up, you also support others in rising up as well, right? You are rising up in the tribe and rising the tribe up as a whole. So this is very tribal. It's not individual. So if you are using this in an individual way, that, as Anna was saying, in a more sort of greedy way for yourself, it doesn't work correctly. This is the ambition for the tribe. This is supporting others in also being able to rise up as well. So again, it is very tribal. Beautiful. All right. Yeah, Shelley.
Yeah, and I have to say that's the sense or feeling I've had everything I've worked in. I love both what you said, Anna and Karen, that always in my work there would be the focus on the material, but at the same time I was always following some kind of spiritual path, trying to find out who I am and how to be myself, and also trying to help others find themselves, and had been trying many different ways of doing that. And there is a real sense I have a lot of tribal circuitry, and I'm so glad I understand it better now, because I feel like everything that I do and have done has had that flavor to it. It's not ever been individual. I can't, in fact, do stuff just for myself. It doesn't work. I've never even bothered trying. I must have learned early on. I just have this sense that no, whatever I'm doing has to pull the whole tribe up and everyone around us. It's got to be for the greater good of all, or it doesn't work. So yeah, that's definitely a big part of this.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Shelley. And let's, as we wrap everything up, again, if you are new to BG5, you can download your chart. You can take a look at, do you have the 38? Do you have the 54 or not? Right? And how does that affect you? Again, you can check out our free resource library. You can also check out the trait of the day, and you can subscribe to get the daily traits. We also have our classes starting in January, so would love to have you be a part of the class. One of the things, I don't have a slide here, but there was a question about the workshop that we mentioned earlier about the 5 stages in entering into 2022, we have now opened up a special program. So if you go to the website, go to education and go to special programs, that's where you'll find all of our new special programs. We also have a year-long program as well that takes a look at the changing cycle throughout this year. So we have several meetings where we'll get together and take a look at what the cycle is in an even deeper way than we're taking a look at it here, what that cycle is bringing forth over the different quarters. And as we change the past and future direction, what the environment is going to be like through this entire year. So it's really a support throughout this entire year as we continue to change, as we continue to move towards 2027. There's going to be a lot of crisis in March, at least according to what we take a look at here. So just being prepared and knowing the weather allows you to adapt and thrive and not get caught up in whatever craziness, is in store for us this year. There's definitely been a lot of craziness the last couple of years. So it can be helpful. And also, the 5 stages in moving into 2022, again, helping you complete the past, finding out who your allies are, and then moving forward from there. So we invite you to join us. Again, if you go to our special programs, so go to education on our website from the main menu, go to special programs, and that's where you'll find all of the special programs. So let's wrap everything up. And I would love to hear from each of our panelists what to pay attention to or look forward to as we move into trait number 54. You want to start, Linda?
Oh, yes. I feel like the 38 is, is supporting the 54 in a way that the 38 will give you maybe a sense of what you want to fight for, a sense of your individuality, what you are striving for, what you really are looking for in life. And then the 54 will invite you to, with maybe awareness of what your purpose is, to find your place in our society and to support others with your unique gifts and talents, because that's what I feel we are all here for, to support each other with our talents. We don't have our talents for ourselves. Well, we can enjoy them, but we have most enjoyment, that's how I feel, when you can make other people smile when you are delivering your gift to them. So this time, and also with the stages that we are entering a new year, it takes a couple of weeks, but to really feel your allies. Also, if you're working with clients, who are the people that support you, who are the clients that you love working with, and just enjoy supporting them and feel your unique place in the whole of our society, in the whole of what you are doing. So that's how I feel.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
How about for you, Anna?
Well, Linda, you said it well. I would just reiterate some of that, in that the 38, what are you fighting for? And fighting can be creative or it can be antagonistic, but either way, what is the forward movement that, what's the purpose in that fight? What is granted by the accomplishment, 54, what's the ambition that's needs fulfillment, that potential is there in the 54. I also want to just say thank you, Karen. And so many of us love and admire you, and you are a wonderful example of the 54. And I just appreciate that so much. And so many people do. And I think you're the perfect person to represent all of this, of really what this means, the Institute, you as a human being and what you do for everybody. So I just wanted to bring that in.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I'll say happy birthday to you too, Karen, for tomorrow on behalf of all of us.
Thank you.
People in the chat are also saying that. And yeah, I reiterate what Linda and Anna have said, that you are the perfect person for doing this and being a great example of how each of us can move ourselves up from rags to riches and really have that more fulfilling blended life, where in the past we've maybe had to fight for our individuality for these past 400 years. And we're getting to the place where that fight, that struggle will become clearer and maybe a little easier, because we'll know that we're fighting for ourselves and our own identity now, and that the ambition for us all to rise up is our birthright, and that it is something for us to be able to blend what previously was separated. Work was work and spirituality was different, like Anna mentioned, having those two blend together so that we can be whole human beings, bringing our full self to our daily life in a way that allows us to really express all of who we are, no matter where we are, no matter who we're working with, no matter where we show up, that we're able to show up as whole beings and help each other all move up the ladder.
Love it. Love it. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Shelley. Thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes, and look forward to stepping into my New Year's cycle. So I'm very ready for that. So again, thank you. Thank you for being here in our very first BG5 Live for 2022, and look forward to experiencing and going through 2022 with all of you. So thank you all very, very much, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.